He is here with us this morning. Nigel, are you going to whip up anger and hate? Because after the Westminster Bridge attack, you did talk of perhaps the fact that so many people shouldn't have been allowed into the country, and the fact that uncontrolled immigration could lead to these sort of events. I'm not saying that you said it was directly relevant, but you did make a link between it.
Well, of course. Well, I mean, the link's obvious, isn't it? And I think anyone that doesn't recognise that link is simply in denial. I mean, look, when at the start of
Why are they in denial? Because there's no suggestion...
Because we are told that if you pick out and identify a problem within any religious or racial group, that is a bad and wrong thing to do. And the truth of it is we have two problems. The first is we have Muslim communities living in Western European cities who are separated off from the rest of the community. They're doing badly at school, badly at work. You know, they really are, and prey in many, many ways to an extremist ideology. So that's a problem of a total lack of integration within our cities.
So surely the answer is to integrate more, not...
Precisely, not to open the door to countless numbers, which is exactly what Angela Merkel has done.
But that message makes people feel more isolated.
Well, I think they need to wake up to it. Do you know, of those 8 people that committed those horrors in Paris, 5 had come across the Mediterranean posing as migrants. So people want to feel safe. They want to feel their governments are in control. And, you know, the response that we got yesterday to Barcelona from all our leaders, it's the same every time. We stand in solidarity with Brussels, Paris, London, Stockholm, Barcelona. What people want to know is what is government actually going to do?
Well, one of the things they're doing is exchanging information. I mean, one of the reasons they're saying this morning why the second attack was dealt with so quickly was because of intelligence. And exchanging information within Europe is something that's valuable and something that we get from being, you know, part of that group.
Oh, please. We do not need to be governed by a bunch of unelected old men in Brussels to share intelligence with each other. In fact, the highest level of intelligence sharing around the world is us and the Americans. I'm all for cooperation. I'm all for working together. But I do think people now want to see some positive action. And, you know, there are things we could do to make us a bit safer. For example, on London Bridge the other week, that brave police officer who took on those 3 people, all he had was a baton. If he'd had a taser, we'd have stopped those stabbings happening in Borough Market. There are things that we can do.
Let's go back to this question of inflammatory talk. I mean, you're pretty close to Donald Trump. He is pretty inflammatory. I think you'd have to agree that some of the things he says and tweets are inflammatory.
He has his own way of doing things, yes.
Are you aware of the latest tweet in which he makes a direct reference to what in fact is a historical myth, that General Pershing, famous American general, dipped bullets in pig's blood and used them to shoot Muslims in an insurrection that the Americans were dealing with in another part of the world at the time. And Trump has made a direct reference to this and has effectively said in the tweet that that's how you deal with them.
What he said is...
And it dealt with the problem then, and he's implying that that's what should happen now. Don't you think that's just disgusting?
What he said for the last 3 days is don't try to rewrite history. You know, and whether Trump makes...
Whether Trump
makes mistakes or not...
Stop there, Nigel. Sorry.
And that may be in poor taste. That may be in poor taste.
But I expect a direct answer.
Well, it may be in poor taste.
I don't want to step round that question. I want you to directly answer it. He suggested that we should deal with this problem in a propagandised way by dipping bullets in pig's blood and shooting Muslims with them. What do you think of that?
Well, he's used an historical analogy, one that is wrong, by the way.
Yes, I said
as you say. What he's saying is we've got to get tough and deal with the problem. Now, look, there are a lot of things...
What do you think about those words,
I think there are lots of things that Trump does that are pretty rough around the edges.
I'm talking about this one. Let's forget all the others.
Unless we bat this out of the way, we can't have a proper debate. Right, this was wrong. But I tell you where he is right, and absolutely right.
So you're saying he was wrong to issue that tweet?
But on the big...
Just wrong, not disgusting?
Wrong. No, I'm going to say wrong.
OK.
On the big picture, there is something remarkable happening in America. The idea that you tear down statues, that you rewrite history. I mean, next they'll be burning books. And I do think on that, he is absolutely right. That doesn't justify for one moment, you know, a group of neo-Nazis turning up in a town and then a counter-protest. But there is something very odd going on in America, and Trump is right to identify.
There was an analogy made by an American commentator yesterday, basically linking far-right KKK people with cats. They were saying that the way to get a cat to like you is to feed it. And the reason that the KKK, rather like Donald Trump, is that he feeds them. He gives them just enough.
It's absolute rubbish. Exactly the same accusation was made in this country after the horrible murder of Joe Cox in the referendum. It was said that people like me were guilty for daring to talk about subjects that everyday folk do talk about. And we have to be responsible when we talk about immigration, we talk about Islamic terrorism. Of course, the language that we use is important.
What do you think about the sacking of the Labour frontbencher for writing that article in The Sun?
You know, you can't tell the truth in the modern-day Labour Party. She had the guts to identify a problem that I think the vast majority of people would say, well, thank goodness, somebody's had the guts to identify she's lost her job because of it. We've still got a long way to go to have proper, honest debate.
All right, Nigel, thank you very much for being here this morning and talking with your usual